Chapter 1. Mira. If my parents hadn't owed Vesper Sorn $3 million, there was no universe in which I'd be walking through the neon quarter alone at midnight. Yet, here I am, alone at midnight, walking toward a Mafia boss who has offered to wipe away $3 million of debt in exchange for marrying me. I pull my jacket tighter around myself as another holographic woman, 30 feet tall, shimmers to life above the street. Feel everything, forget nothing. Whatever she's selling, I don't want it. I don't want anything this district is selling. The Neon Quarter is exactly the kind of place my parents spent 25 years warning me never to visit. Music pours from open club doors. Pink and violet signs flash above bars with names like Sin and Afterlife. Steam curls from noodle stalls wedged between pawn shops and shady little pharmacies advertising scent suppressants without prescriptions. Women in glittering dresses laugh beneath transparent umbrellas, while motorcycles roar past close enough to splash rainwater over my boots. And everywhere I look, there are alphas. I can tell without getting close. Something about the way they move, the confidence, the space other people instinctively give them. One woman leans against the entrance of a nightclub smoking something that produces blue smoke. Her gaze slides over me as I pass. My heart jumps. Does she know? No, impossible. I applied suppressant before leaving home. Twice. I checked the bottle 3 times. Still, I shove my hands into my jacket pockets and walk faster. Omegas aren't mythical. We might as well be. I've met exactly one other Omega in my entire life, and she was 73. My mother nearly cried with relief when she introduced us, because apparently meeting another member of my own designation was supposed to be a formative experience. The woman pinched my cheek and told me to marry a nice beta. Very formative. Most people can live their entire lives without knowingly meeting an Omega, which is why discovering one tends to make certain kinds of alphas lose their minds. Some wealthy families spend fortunes arranging Omega marriages. There are agencies devoted exclusively to finding us, private registries, matchmakers, clubs with membership fees higher than my annual income. And then there are the less reputable methods. Contracts, auctions disguised as introductions, debt transfers. My parents sheltered me because they knew exactly how much an Omega could be worth to the wrong person. And now I'm walking voluntarily toward a woman who could probably afford 10 of me. I nearly laugh. My own heroine would be disgusted with me. Nova Kestrel, intergalactic outlaw, smuggler, bounty hunter, and occasional savior of civilizations, would stride through the neon quarter with twin plasma pistols strapped to her thighs and insult every alpha who looked at her sideways. I created Nova when I was 19. 6 years later, Kestrel Beyond the Stars has enough subscribers that strangers occasionally recognize my art at conventions. I sell prints, subscriptions, and merchandise. Last month, someone bought a pillow with Nova's face on it, which still seems like a questionable financial decision. I make okay money, real money, adult money, not $3 million money. My parents' printing business collapsed slowly enough that they managed to hide the disaster from me until there was nothing left to save. Loans became more loans, interest multiplied. The building went first, then their equipment. Then I discovered the house I'd grown up in had been used as collateral, and behind nearly every increasingly desperate loan was the same name, Vesper Sorn Holdings, which is the respectable corporate way of saying Vesper Sorn owns everything you love. My parents cried when they told me. My mother cried harder when she told me about Vesper's proposition. Marry her. The debt disappears. All $3 million, the house remains my parents', their remaining obligations vanish, and I become Vesper Sorn's wife. It should sound horrifying. The alternative is worse, far worse.
The contract can be transferred, and while there are laws supposedly protecting Omegas from being bought and sold, there are approximately 10,000 ways for wealthy people to make exploitation look like a perfectly respectable marriage arrangement. Vesper has offered me a contract with legal protections, my own property, my own money, and the right to continue working. Someone else might not. $3 million is an impossible amount to my family. To an alpha desperate enough to secure an Omega wife? Maybe it isn't. Which means, horrifyingly, Vesper Sorn's offer is almost a dream, assuming she isn't a monster. A black and gold sign finally appears ahead of me. Nocturne.
There's no line outside. There doesn't need to be. The doorman takes one look at me. Miss Vey? That is not reassuring. Yes. A woman steps from the shadows behind him. She's tall, broad-shouldered, and dressed entirely in charcoal gray. Cass Wren. She offers her hand. I stare at it. She raises an eyebrow. I'm not going to kidnap you. That's exactly what someone planning to kidnap me would say. Something flickers across her face. Amusement, I think. Boss is going to like you. That doesn't reassure me either. Cass leads me inside. Nocturne is quieter than I expected. Dark velvet booths surround a glowing bar, and enormous chandeliers throw fractured golden light across black marble. We don't stop. Cass takes me through a private door, into an elevator, and up. Very far up. The elevator doors open directly into a private lounge. And there she is. Vesper Sorn. Oh, that's unfortunate. I had been relying quite heavily on her being ugly. She's standing beside a window overlooking Vanta City, one hand tucked casually into the pocket of a perfectly tailored black suit. Long black hair falls over one shoulder. She's tall, elegant, sharp cheekbones, darker eyes, full mouth. Dangerously beautiful. Then she turns toward me, and I smell her. My entire body goes still. Alpha. I've been around alphas before. I've never been around one like her. Her scent is dark and warm, cedarwood and something faintly smoky, and there's a strange instinctive part of me that immediately recognizes strength, safety, danger, all wrapped together. Her gaze moves over me once, not leering, assessing. Then her mouth curves. Mira. Oh, her voice is unfair, too. Vesper. Good, you know who I am. You're holding my childhood home hostage. I thought I'd Google you. Cass makes a suspicious choking sound behind me. Vesper's smile deepens. Tea? That's not what I expected. Tea? I find negotiations go better with beverages. Is it poisoned? Vesper regards me for a moment. Then she lifts the cup already beside her, takes a slow sip, and swallows. No. That proves your tea isn't poisoned. Excellent point. She switches our cups. I stare at her. Vesper gestures towards mine. Better? I sit. A little. She sits opposite me. I take a cautious sip. It's ridiculously good. Of course the Mafia has better tea than I do. You're not what I expected, I blurt. One eyebrow rises. You expected horns? Maybe one. Disappointing. I'll speak to my tailor. A laugh escapes me before I can stop it. Vesper looks pleased. That's almost worse than the intimidation. She leans back. I imagine you have questions. About 17,000. We may be here a while. Are you really expecting me to marry you? Her expression changes. Not colder, more serious. I am asking you to consider it.
My parents owe you $3 million. They do. And if I marry you, you forgive it? Yes. That sounds less like a proposal and more like extortion with flowers. I haven't given you flowers yet. Yet? I intend to court you. I stare at her. Vesper stares calmly back. You're courting the woman whose parents owe you money? I've been told romance is complicated. Another laugh nearly escapes. I suppress it. Badly. Vesper's eyes glitter. I could demand an answer tonight, she says. I won't. If you're going to become my wife, Mira, I'd prefer you didn't spend our wedding contemplating which dessert fork would make the most effective murder weapon. I draw comics. I can think of much better weapons. I know. I freeze. You know? I read your comic. My mouth falls open. Vesper Sorn, criminal overlord, terrifying alpha, holder of my childhood family's financial future, has read Kestrel Beyond the Stars. How? The internet. I know how websites work. Reassuring. You read my comic? 37 episodes. There are 82. I've been busy. I stare at her. She smiles. And something inside me shifts. Just slightly. Enough to scare me more than she does. Vesper rises. Come. Where? Our first date. You weren't joking? I rarely joke about dinner.
10 minutes later, I'm outside Nocturne with Vesper beside me. No car waits. I look around. Are we walking? The restaurant is 6 blocks. Through here? Vesper looks amused. You're afraid of the neon quarter? No. A motorcycle backfires. I nearly jump into her. Vesper looks down at me, terrified. I prefer appropriately cautious. We start walking. Something strange happens almost immediately. People move. Not for me. For her. A group of loud alphas comes toward us, sees Vesper, and abruptly crosses the street. A club bouncer nods respectfully. A man standing outside a gambling den lowers his eyes. Vesper doesn't seem to notice. She simply walks through Vanta City like nothing in it could possibly hurt her. For the first time tonight, I stopped checking over my shoulder. I don't need to. I'm beside the most dangerous thing on the street, and somehow that makes me feel safe. You like this, I say. What? Everyone being scared of you. No, you're smiling. I'm smiling because you're no longer scared. My steps falter. There's something unexpectedly tender in the way she says it. I look away. Big mistake. Because that's when the first cramp hits hard. I stop. Vesper immediately turns. Mira? Fine. I'm not fine. Pain twists low in my stomach. I inhale sharply. No, not here, not now. I know this feeling, but my heat isn't due for another week. Mira, I said I'm fine. I make it another 20 feet. Then another cramp doubles me over. I stumble into the mouth of an alley. My knees hit wet pavement. Vesper is beside me instantly. What happened? Nothing. You're on the ground. I noticed. Her hand reaches toward me. I jerk away. Don't. Vesper freezes. For one strange second, the entire world seems to freeze with her. Then her pupils widen. Her expression changes. And I know. She can smell me. The suppressant isn't working anymore. Mira, she says quietly, I hate the sudden alarm in her voice. What? You're going into heat. I know. Here? I didn't schedule it. Vesper glanced towards the crowded street. The tenderness disappears beneath something colder, dangerous, not directed at me, at everyone else. We need to leave. Now. I can handle it. You can barely stand.
I've handled every heat alone. Not in an alley filled with alphas. She offers her hand. I stare at it. No. Mira. No. Her jaw tightens. I am trying very hard to respect your independence. Try harder. For 1 second, I think she's going to get angry. Instead, incredibly, she laughs. Then Vesper reaches inside her jacket. If stubbornness is your preferred negotiating position, we'll negotiate. She taps the screen, then turns it toward me. A transfer authorization glows against the glass. I blink at the number. Once, twice. $1 million. I look up at her. You're insane. Possibly. $1 million? In exchange for one night. My heart stops. Vesper's expression softens. At my home, she adds, where I can keep you safe, bring down your temperature, and make sure no alpha in this district gets anywhere near you. I stare at her. You're offering me $1 million to let you take care of me? Yes. Why? Vesper crouches in front of me, expensive trousers touching filthy pavement without the slightest hesitation. Then she holds out her hand again. If stubbornness is your preferred negotiating position, we'll negotiate. Despite the pain, despite the heat beginning to burn beneath my skin, despite everything insane about tonight, I laugh. Vesper smiles, and this time when she offers me her hand, I take it.
Chapter 3. Mira. Being carried through the neon quarter by Vesper Sorn is not how I expected tonight to end. To be fair, neither was being offered $1 million by a Mafia boss because I was too stubborn to accept medical assistance for free, so perhaps I should stop having expectations. You can put me down. No, I can walk. You collapsed in an alley. That was temporary. So is being carried. I glare at Vesper. She doesn't even look winded. One arm is beneath my knees, the other firm around my back as she strides down a neon-soaked street as if carrying an overheating Omega through the busiest nightlife district in Vanta City is a perfectly normal Tuesday night activity. Maybe it is for her. People stare. Of course they stare. Vesper Sorn is difficult enough to ignore by herself. Vesper Sorn tarrying a flushed woman wrapped in her black coat? Apparently that's tonight's entertainment. A couple standing outside a noodle shop openly turns to watch us pass. A group of women waiting outside a club goes silent. I'd bury my face against Vesper's shoulder. This is humiliating. I thought you weren't afraid of anything. I never said that. You implied it. I created a fictional character who isn't afraid of anything. There's a difference. Nova Kestrel. My head snaps up. You remember her name? Vesper looks down at me. She pilots the Starling, has a mechanical right hand, and once escaped execution by convincing an entire alien civilization that she was their missing deity. I stare. You really read it? I told you I did. I assumed you skimmed enough to impress me. Is it working? No. Pity. It is. Annoyingly. The city changes as Vesper carries me deeper into the district. A midnight blue sports car glides past without making a sound. I catch my reflection in its window. My hair is a disaster. My cheeks are red. I'm wrapped in Vesper's coat like I've been kidnapped by an exceptionally stylish blanket. I look ridiculous. Vesper looks like she's carrying someone out of an explosion in the final panel of a graphic novel. That's irritating, too. You know, I murmur, if I ever put this in my comic, nobody will believe it. If you're thinking about your comic, I assume you're healthy. I am healthy. You're burning up. Heats aren't a sickness. I didn't say they were. You said healthy. Vesper glances down at me. You're remarkably argumentative for someone I'm carrying home. I'm a Mafia boss. That isn't an excuse. It is literally in the job title. I laugh. The motion makes another cramp tighten through my stomach. I flinch. Vesper's expression changes instantly. Her arms tighten around me.
Not enough to hurt, just enough that my body notices and, humiliatingly, relaxes. I stop laughing. There's something about being this close to her. I don't know how else to describe it. Her alpha scent surrounds me because my face is practically pressed against her neck. Cedarwood, smoke, something darker underneath that I can't name. Her skin is warm against my temple. Her heartbeat is steady. Even her breathing is maddeningly calm, and my body likes all of that. A lot. My temperature is still too high, but the unbearable burning beneath my skin has eased. The cramps aren't as sharp. Even the restless ache in my muscles has quieted. My previous heats were worse. Much worse.
I spent the last one alone in my bedroom, with blackout curtains, ice packs, enough water to fill a swimming pool, and my mother knocking on the door every 40 minutes asking if I needed anything. I'd hurt everywhere. Tonight, somehow, I don't. Not as much. I am absolutely not telling Vesper that. She'd probably look unbearably pleased with herself. Or worse, she'd realize exactly how vulnerable I am around her. The thought makes my body tense again. Ahead of me, a tall building becomes visible. It rises above everything around it, a needle of smoked glass covered in strips of electric blue light. The entrance is protected by enormous black doors and several people wearing the sort of suits that say security if you're optimistic and armed criminal organization if you're not. Every one of them straightens when Vesper approaches. The doors open immediately. She carries me inside. The lobby is cavernous. Black marble floors reflect a chandelier composed of hundreds of floating glass spheres. I stare upward. "Do you own this building?" "Yes." Vesper steps into a private elevator. She takes me into an elevator, and I swallow when we get to the penthouse level, and the doors open. I swallow. "You're taking me into your home while I'm in heat. You understand why that's terrifying, right?" A beat passes. Then another. Vesper doesn't look offended. "Yes, I do." "What happens when those doors open?" "You get water, and a cold compress, and a bed." My heart pounds. Vesper's gaze doesn't leave mine. "And privacy," she finishes. I search her face. "You could change your mind." "About being decent?" The words come out quieter than I intended. For once, Vesper doesn't have an immediate joke. Her eyes soften. "If I intended to take advantage of you, Mira, I wouldn't have needed to bring you here." I stiffen. She continues before I can respond. "You were inside my club, surrounded by my employees. Cass was downstairs. Security controlled every exit." I stare at her. "If I were the woman you're afraid I might be, you would never have made it outside." That should frighten me. Instead, somehow, it doesn't. Because she's right. Vesper had every advantage at Nocturne. And what did she do? She gave me tea. She read my comic. She asked me to dinner. She offered me her hand. When I refused it, she offered me $1 million. The elevator doors open. Vesper looks down at me. "I want you to marry me," she says quietly. "I don't want to own you." Something warm and frightening unfurls inside my chest. I look away. "You're getting dangerously good at this courtship thing." "I've had almost an hour of practice." "Natural talent?" "Obviously." She carries me inside, and I forget how to speak. Her penthouse is impossible. The entire far wall is glass. Vanta City stretches beneath us in a sea of neon, skyscrapers piercing clouds illuminated pink and blue from below. Holographic advertisements drift between buildings. Traffic streams like glowing veins through the streets. Inside, everything is dark wood, black stone, glass, and gold. There's a sunken living room big enough to fit my parents' entire first floor. She carries me down a hallway, then pauses. Her head tilts.
Astonishingly, she looks almost uncomfortable. I've never been around an Omega in heat before. Oh, I didn't expect... She stops. What? Her arms tighten fractionally around me. This. I wait. Vesper's voice becomes quieter. The instinct to protect you is considerably stronger than I anticipated. I stare at her. She looks almost annoyed by the admission. Not with me, with herself. I know you're capable of looking after yourself. Intellectually, I understand that. Unfortunately, another part of my brain currently believes the entire city constitutes an unacceptable threat. My lips twitch. The entire city? Yes. What about Cass? Moderate threat. The 70-year-old doorman? Suspicious. I laugh. Vesper smiles, but the vulnerability remains in her eyes. For the first time tonight, she doesn't look like Vesper Sorn, untouchable ruler of the Neon Quarter.
She just looks like a woman experiencing something she doesn't entirely understand, and admitting it to me anyway. The bedroom she gives me is larger than my apartment. Vesper sets me carefully on the edge of the bed. Stay. I stare. I'm not a dog. No, a dog would be more obedient. I throw a pillow at her. She catches it without looking. I hate her. Possibly. Vesper disappears into the adjoining bathroom and returns with a bowl of cool water and several cloths. Then she brings bottles of water, then juice, then another blanket. Then she removes the blanket because I tell her I'm too hot. Then she lowers the room temperature. Then she asks if it's too cold. You're hovering. I don't hover. You're practically vibrating. I am standing perfectly still, emotionally hovering. That silences her. Victory. Vesper opens a drawer. There are clothes in here. I narrow my eyes. Why do you have women's clothes in my size? Vesper goes very still. The oversized shirt in her hands suddenly seems heavier. They belonged to my sister. Oh, I take the shirt more carefully. You have a sister? Had. One word and all the humor drains out of me. Vesper looks toward the windows. She ran the syndicate before me. I trusted someone I shouldn't have, let them close enough to learn our weaknesses. Her jaw tightens. They killed her. Vesper. After that, I decided fear was safer than affection. Her smile is thin. So far, no one who fears me has managed to break my heart. For the first time, I don't see the terrifying Mafia boss who owns half the Neon Quarter. I see a woman standing in an enormous, beautiful home that still contains her dead sister's clothes because she can't bear to throw them away. I'm sorry. Her gaze meets mine. Something passes between us before Vesper abruptly points at the bed. Lie down. And there she is again. You're very bossy. I'm an alpha and a crime boss. I have 2 separate qualifications. I climb into bed. Vesper immediately presses a cool cloth against my forehead, checks my temperature, makes me drink half a glass of water, rearranges my pillows, pulls the blanket up, decides I'm too warm, pulls it down again, and checks my temperature a second time. Vesper. You checked that 3 minutes ago. You may have deteriorated. I have not deteriorated. I paid you $1 million. I intend to get my money's worth. You paid me so you could take care of me. Exactly. Stop interfering with my purchase. I laughed despite myself. 20 minutes later, I'm still awake. I turn over, then back, then rearrange a pillow. Vesper watches from the chair. You're fidgeting. I'm suffering elegantly. Would a story help? I stare at her. Are you offering to read me a bedtime story? I can leave you to suffer elegantly. Story. She chooses an old adventure novel and begins reading about explorers searching for a vanished island. 5 pages later, I interrupt. The captain is betraying them. He is not.
He obviously is. You've heard 5 pages. I write stories professionally. You draw people fighting aliens. That's called literature. Vesper rolls her eyes and continues. Her voice settles something inside me. So does her scent. I hesitate. Vesper. She lowers the book. Would you lie here? Her expression changes. I rush on. Alpha contact helps during heat. Skin, scent, body temperature. It hurts less. All teasing disappears from her face. You should have told me. I only just decided you probably aren't evil. Glowing endorsement. She lies beside me carefully. The moment her arm goes around me, my body unclenches. I press my cheek against the warm skin above her collar. Vesper pulls the covers around us and holds me closer. Better? Much. Marginally. Liar. I smile against her. For once, Vesper doesn't argue. Neither do I. Wrapped in the arms of the woman I was supposed to fear, I fall asleep.
Chapter 4. Mira. I wake up warm. Not heat warm. Not the awful, feverish kind that makes my skin feel 2 sizes too small and every muscle in my body ache. Just warm, comfortable, safe. For several seconds, I lie there with my eyes closed, trying to work out why my pillow smells faintly of cedar wood and why my mattress is approximately 6,000 times softer than the one in my apartment. Then last night returns in pieces. Nocturne, Vesper, dinner that never happened, an alley, $1 million, being carried through the neon quarter, Vesper's sister, her arms around me. I open my eyes. I'm alone in bed, which is strange because I distinctly remember falling asleep pressed against an alpha who owns enough of Vanta City to probably have streets named after her. I sit up. My improvised nest has suffered catastrophic structural failure overnight. Pillows are everywhere. One is on the floor, another has somehow ended up beneath my knees. The blanket is twisted around me. Vesper's side of the bed is empty. For one irrational second, disappointment hits me. Then I see her. She's asleep in the armchair beside the window. I stare. At some point during the night, Vesper must have gotten out of bed and returned to the chair. Her head rests against one hand. Long black hair spills over her shoulder. The old adventure novel lies open across her lap. She looks uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. And much less frightening while asleep. She stayed. The thought settles somewhere beneath my ribs. She stayed beside me all night, even after I'd fallen asleep. I look down at the shirt I'm wearing, her sister's shirt, then back at Vesper. Something happened last night that I don't entirely understand. Not my heat. Her. Yesterday morning, Vesper Sorn was a name on documents that made my parents cry. Last night, she became a woman who carries grief around inside her enormous penthouse and hides it beneath tailored suits and dry jokes. A woman who held me until I stopped hurting. I owe her breakfast. It's not exactly equivalent to $1 million, but I make excellent eggs. Vesper Sorn's kitchen looks like nobody has ever committed the indignity of preparing food in it. Everything is black marble, brushed steel, and intimidatingly expensive appliances. The refrigerator is enormous. I open it and stare. Of course, there are 6 bottles of sparkling water, champagne, berries, cheese I don't recognize, 3 lemons, and absolutely nothing resembling a normal person's groceries. I open another compartment and discover eggs. Victory! 20 minutes later, I found bread, butter, and coffee and turned the pristine kitchen into something that actually looks inhabited. Eggs with cheese and herbs, buttered toast, coffee, some of the berries.
I am attempting to locate plates when I hear, "What happened?" I turn. Vesper stands in the doorway. Her hair is mussed, her white shirt from last night is wrinkled, she's barefoot, and she looks genuinely alarmed. I glance around. Nothing? You're cooking. Yes. In my kitchen? I look at the spatula in my hand. That is traditionally where cooking happens. Vesper approaches cautiously, like I've released a dangerous animal into her penthouse. You have a frying pan. I found it in a cupboard. I didn't know I owned one. I stare at her. You own half of the Neon Quarter and don't know whether you possess a frying pan? I have people. For frying? For food. I point the spatula at her. Sit. Her eyebrows rise. Oh, interesting. Apparently, people don't tell Vesper Sorn very often. Was that an order? Yes. A slow smile appears. You've become remarkably brave overnight. I survived being abducted by a Mafia boss. I paid you. Fine, I survived being extremely well compensated for being abducted by a Mafia boss. Vesper sits. I bring the plates over. She looks down at her breakfast, then at me. What? You made this? Yes. For me? No, Vesper. I made 2 plates entirely for myself and put one in front of you as psychological warfare. She laughs. I like that sound far too much. She picks up her fork and takes a bite. I wait. Her expression becomes thoughtful. I narrow my eyes. Well, I am reconsidering the terms of our marriage contract. My stomach drops.
Why? I may need to add mandatory breakfast. I throw a berry at her. She catches it. Of course she does. Then eats that too. We settle into something unexpectedly comfortable. Vesper drinks coffee. I steal a piece of toast from her plate, despite having my own. She notices, but doesn't stop me. Morning sunlight is beginning to break through Vanta's perpetual haze, turning the windows pale gold behind her. The city looks completely different from up here. Almost peaceful. Almost innocent. So, Vesper says, how are you feeling? Better. Temperature? Normal. Pain? Gone. Dizziness? No. Cramping? Vesper. Answer the question. No. She studies me. Are you sure? You're doing it again. Doing what? Emotionally hovering. I am sitting down. You've elevated it to an art form. Vesper takes another sip of coffee. I smile slightly. Thank you. 4. I gesture vaguely around us. Last night. All of it. Her expression softens. You're welcome. And for not making the nesting thing weird. It was adorable. My eyes narrow. I would have preferred if you said nothing. I exercised extraordinary restraint. I take back my gratitude. Too late. I eat another bite. Vesper watches me for a moment, then looks around the kitchen. Something changes in her face. I could become accustomed to this. I glance up. 2 eggs? This. She gestures between us. What? Someone being here when I wake up. My heart does a strange little thing. Vesper clears her throat. Though my fantasy of domestic bliss traditionally includes a morning kiss. I blink. There she is. The vulnerable woman vanishes beneath that maddeningly composed smile. You're flirting with me. I've been attempting to flirt with you since last night. I should make another joke. Instead, I look at her mouth. Vesper notices. Of course she notices. But she doesn't move. That's what decides it. She waits. So I stand. Vesper's eyebrows lift as I walk around the table. Mira! I stop beside her chair. For once, Vesper Sorn looks uncertain.
I like that. I like it an alarming amount. I put one hand against her cheek. Then I kiss her. It's soft, just the press of my mouth against hers. But the moment our lips meet, warmth unfurls through me that has absolutely nothing to do with heat. Vesper goes completely still. I nearly laugh against her mouth. The most feared alpha in the Neon Quarter has apparently stopped functioning. Then her hand settles gently at my waist. She kisses me back, carefully. No demand, no assumption, just warmth. When I finally pull away, Vesper stares up at me, silent. I smile. Wow. She blinks. What? You broke me. You did not. You haven't spoken for at least 4 seconds. I was thinking. About? Her eyes drop briefly on my mouth. That doing it again would probably ruin breakfast. My face heats. Vesper smiles. I retreat to my chair before I do something reckless, like kiss her again, or fall in love with her before lunchtime. I sit, take a sip of coffee, put the cup down, then say, I'll marry you. Vesper freezes. This silence lasts longer. I suddenly feel nervous. I mean it, I say. I'll sign the contract. No. My stomach drops. She leans back. You're not signing anything today. Why? Because you've known me for less than 24 hours. The debt is frozen. Your parents will not lose their home. No interest will accrue. I won't transfer the contract. I stop. For how long? As long as necessary. Vesper reaches across the table. Her fingers close around mine. Her thumb brushes once over my knuckles. Because yesterday you were choosing between marrying me and something worse. Her thumb brushes once over my knuckles. I don't want to be the better of 2 terrible choices. I can't speak. I said I would court you, so let me. At least, let me take you to dinner once. I nod, mostly because I want to spend more time with Vesper.
Chapter 6. Dating a mafia boss is surprisingly ordinary. Mostly. Vesper sends flowers. She takes me for coffee. She texts me in the middle of the afternoon to ask whether I've eaten lunch, then threatens to have food delivered when I admit that coffee technically contains calories. She comes to my studio 3 days after our first disastrous attempt at a date and spends 2 hours sitting on my battered couch while I work. I show her unfinished pages from Kestrel Beyond the Stars. This is considerably more intimate than kissing her. Don't look at that panel. You just showed it to me. I've changed my mind. I attempt to grab my tablet. Vesper holds it above her head. I hate tall people. Then, 2 days later, I receive an alert from my online store. Someone named Definitely Not Vesper Sorn 87 has purchased 20 signed prints, 12 shirts, 6 mugs, 4 figurines, and 1 limited edition Nova Kestrel blanket. I screenshot the order. Me. You're an idiot. 3 dots appear immediately. Definitely not Vesper Sorn. I don't know what you're talking about. Me. Your username has your name in it. Vesper. Coincidence? Me. You bought 6 mugs. Vesper. I drink coffee. Me. You own 6 mugs. Now I own better ones. I stare at my phone for a long time afterward, smiling like an idiot. Which is becoming a problem, because Vesper is supposed to be courting me. She isn't supposed to be succeeding this spectacularly. Our second proper date happens 3 weeks after I went into heat in an alley. This time, we actually make it farther than 6 blocks. Progress! Vesper takes me through the Midnight Market, which occupies 12 interconnected streets beneath the old elevated rail line. It's chaos. Wonderful chaos. Neon signs overlap above us in pink, green, and electric blue.
Vendors sell everything from dumplings and handmade jewelry to illegal cybernetic modifications. Music spills from somewhere ahead. Steam rises from food stalls. Holographic fish swim through the air above a seafood restaurant. I've never been here. Of course I've never been here. My parents would have locked me in my bedroom until I turned 40 if I suggested it. Vesper walks beside me with one hand in her coat pocket. You've really never been to the midnight market? My mother thinks this entire district is a den of murderers and sexual deviants. She isn't entirely wrong. I look at her. You're not helping. Vesper smiles. I stop at a stall filled with old comics. Oh my God! I immediately forget I'm on a date. 5 minutes later, I'm kneeling beside a box of vintage issues while Vesper watches me with suspicious amusement. Look, I hold one up. First printing. I'll pretend I understand the significance. Philistine. Should I buy the shop? I look up sharply. No. The building? Vesper. The block? You cannot solve every situation by purchasing real estate. I haven't encountered sufficient evidence to support that claim. I put the comic back before she buys the entire market. We continue walking and go to a restaurant. Vesper orders wine. I order the most expensive thing on the menu entirely because she's paying. She notices. I thought you disliked shellfish. I do. That's lobster. It's $180. So, I want to know what $180 tastes like. Vesper considers this. Usually butter. She's right. I hate that. Somewhere between appetizers and Vesper letting me steal half her dessert, we start talking about my childhood. I used to draw comics under my bed. Vesper pauses. Under it? My mother had this idea that artists starve. So you hid your drawings? For years. I tell her about sketching Nova for the first time in the margins of a mathematics textbook, about posting the first episode online and getting 11 views, then 30, then 300, then thousands. What about you? Vesper asked. What about me? You've told me what you want. What are you afraid of? The question catches me off guard. I look out at the city. Being an Omega. Vesper says nothing. Not because she doesn't care, because she's waiting. I don't hate being one, I say. I hate what everyone thinks it means. My fingers trace the stem of my glass. Fragile, sheltered, valuable, vulnerable. Everyone has an opinion about where I should live and who I should date and whether I should go out alone. I glance at her. My parents love me. I know why they protected me. But sometimes I feel like I've spent my entire life drawing Nova, doing all the things I was too frightened to do myself. Like walking through the neon quarter? I smile faintly. Exactly. You did that. Because I had to. You still did it. I look at her. Vesper shrugs. Courage doesn't require enjoying yourself. That sounds suspiciously like something Nova would say. Maybe you should write comics. I've read enough of yours. I groan. You're still on episode 37? No. Something in her tone alarms me. What does that mean? I finished it. All of it? Yes. 82 episodes? Yes. And I'm shocked that between her job, she found time to get to know me through my work. The rain has stopped. Vesper and I stand beneath the restaurant awning, while neon advertisements shimmer across the wet pavement. Our hands find each other naturally now. That's new and terrifying. Can I ask you something? Vesper looks at me. You usually do. What do you actually want from a wife? She goes quiet. I continue before I lose my nerve. You could marry almost anyone. You have money, power, apparently enough real estate to purchase entire neighborhoods when you're bored. I don't purchase neighborhoods because I'm bored. Not the point. I turned toward her. Why an Omega? Why marriage? What are you actually looking for? Vesper's expression becomes unreadable. For one horrible second, I expect something practical. Status, a prestigious Omega wife, someone pretty on her arm, maybe even children. Instead, she looks through the west behind us, toward the glowing restaurant filled with people, then back at me. Someone who wants to come home to me. That's all. The answer is so simple that I don't know what to do with it. Not a perfect Omega, not a trophy, not someone obedient, not an heir. Someone who wants to come home. To her. My chest hurts. Vesper's thumb brushes over my knuckles. I know what it's like to have a building full of people and still have no one waiting for you. I think of her penthouse, the immaculate kitchen, the clothes belonging to a sister who never came home, the armchair beside my bed. Then I think about breakfast. 2 plates, coffee, Vesper looking around the kitchen and saying she could become accustomed to it. Vesper. Yes? I kiss her. Right there, beneath a glowing pink sign in the middle of Vanta City. She makes a surprised sound against my mouth. Apparently, I can still catch her off guard. Good. Her hand settles at my waist and she kisses me back, slow and careful and warm. The city blazes around us. People pass. When I pull away, my heart is pounding. I want to marry you. Vesper goes still. I mean it, I say. You told me to let you court me. I did, and these last few weeks have convinced me I don't need more time. Her expression softens. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Vesper cups my face and kisses me again, deeper this time, but still tender. When she draws back, there's a happiness in her eyes I've never seen before. I can't wait to call you my wife. My chest tightens. 3 weeks ago, I walked into Nocturne prepared to marry Vesper Sorn because my parents owed her $3 million. Now I'm going to marry her for a much dangerous reason. Because I love her.
Chapter 7. Mira. 2 months later, I marry Vesper Sorn beneath a ceiling filled with stars. Artificial ones, technically. The ballroom at the top of Nocturne has a holographic ceiling that transforms the night sky into something impossibly clear, without Vanta's haze or neon glow obscuring it. I think Nova Kestrel would approve. My mother is crying. My father is pretending he isn't. Cass stands beside Vesper in a black suit, looking deeply uncomfortable about the fact that I insisted she wear a flower on her lapel. And Vesper is beautiful. She's waiting for me in a perfectly tailored black suit, her long hair swept away from her face, and there's no trace of the terrifying Mafia boss who made 3 armed men leave the building simply by looking at them earlier. She's smiling at me. Only me. 2 months ago, I thought this wedding would be the price of saving my family. I imagined standing beside a stranger, saying vows because $3 million of debt had left me without another choice. Instead, Vesper froze the debt, returned my parents' house, courted me, and waited until I chose her. That's what makes walking toward her so easy. When I reach her, Vesper takes my hands. "You came," she whispers. I smile. Seem surprised? You've learned never to underestimate your capacity for causing trouble. I'm wearing white. I'm temporarily innocent. Her thumb strokes over my fingers. The ceremony is short. Our vows aren't. Vesper promises that I will always have a choice, even when that choice involves covering her expensive furniture with comic sketches.
I promise to love her even though she thinks Commander Vale is the best character I've ever written. Then I'm asked the question that once terrified me. Do I take Vesper Sorn as my wife? I look into her eyes. I do. And I mean it. Vesper's answering I do is quieter, almost reverent. Then she kisses me. Everyone applauds. My mother cries harder. Cass mutters something about finally getting this over with, and I laugh against my wife's mouth. My wife. An arranged marriage brought us together, but there's nothing arranged about the way my heart races when Vesper looks at me. Nothing transactional about the way she holds my hand. I chose her. She chose me. And as Vesper leads me beneath 1,000 artificial stars, I know I've made a better choice.
Epilogue. Mira. 6 months later, Vesper's penthouse has been conquered by blankets. Vesper objects to this description. She's wrong. There are blankets on the sofa, blankets in the bedroom, one draped over an armchair beside the windows. My sketches are everywhere. My drawing tablet lives permanently on Vesper's enormous desk, between syndicate reports and documents I'm probably legally safer not reading. There are also plants. Vesper claims she dislikes them. She waters them every morning. Marriage has revealed many things about my wife. She's a liar about plants. She's also secretly sentimental and completely incapable of admitting that the mysterious black-haired crime queen I recently introduced in Kestrel Beyond the Stars looks exactly like her. Readers adore the character. My subscriber count has exploded. People are making fan art. Someone has already started selling unauthorized shirts. Vesper offered to have them dealt with. I declined to ask what that meant. I'm finishing a panel when the penthouse doors open. Vesper walks in, loosening her tie. She sees me and smiles. That smile still does things to me. Hello, wife. Hello, criminal. She bends and kisses me. Dinner? Already ordered. Good. She notices the financial statement beside my tablet. You still haven't spent it. I grin. The $1 million. Vesper really transferred every cent. I've invested most of it, helped my parents with a few things, and otherwise barely judged it. You massively overpaid for one night's nursing services. Vesper takes off her jacket. Best investment I ever made. I laugh. Then a question I've wondered about slips out. Would you still have married me if I wasn't an Omega? Vesper looks genuinely offended. Mira, I married you because you draw cartoons of me when you're angry. They're caricatures. Your nose is not that large. Your ego is. She stares at me. I stare back. Then she smiles. And there we are. Us. I think sometimes about the woman I was that first night, walking alone through the neon quarter with my suppressant on my skin and terror in my stomach. I thought being an Omega meant other people would always decide what was best for me. I thought an arranged marriage meant losing the little freedom I had left. Instead, I found a woman powerful enough to take anything she wanted, who gave me the one thing I'd spent my life believing an Omega couldn't have: a choice. Mira? Vesper is sitting on the sofa now. Classical music begins playing. I look at her. She opens one arm. Come here. The comic can wait. I abandon my tablet and cross the room, curling against my wife beneath one of the blankets she claims we don't need. Outside our windows, Vanta remains violent and electric, neon blazing through the darkness. But Vesper's arm is around me. Her heartbeat is beneath my cheek. And I'm home. Thank you for listening to this story. Hope you enjoyed it. You can check out other books by Sasha Clinton, available on Amazon under the pen name Sasha Clinton. Also, check out my channel for more free lesbian romance audiobooks.